The second part of our deep dive into stabilizers is all about cutaways. Cutaways are very important for knits. If you've ever purchased a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or something like that that has embroidery on it, and it's kind of wavy, it doesn't look very nice, look at the back and you'll see there was no cutaway stabilizer used. If you have a nice sweatshirt or t-shirt with some embroidery, you're going to notice there's something, it maybe even may look like a little bit of white around the embroidery itself on the back, and that's the cutaway stabilizer. So that's going to be really important to elevate your embroideries on knits. So, and I know that's what a lot of people want to do, is work on knits. So even like a little t-shirt like this, what you're going to see is that's, again, it's a really nice embroidery. It looks really nice. But the difference is, if you look at the back, you're going to see, and I left it a little bit on there, there is a cutaway stabilizer on the back of this t-shirt. And you're going to end up trimming up closer, but I wanted you to see how it looks really nice. And the front just looks fabulous. That is your difference. That's what's going to, set your t-shirts or sweatshirts, if you're giving them as gifts, aside. It's going to make it so much better. And even if you're working on like this piece here, this actually, I did a little cross stitch embroidery, and with this cross stitch embroidery, this is actually a sweater knit. So it's a super stretchy sweater knit, and you're going to see on that back, you're going to see that stabilizer. I actually used two stabilizers. I used the cutaway and also that sticky tearaway, but I use the cutaway. It goes on the garment, on the project, and that's what's going to make your knit either embroidered or decorative stitches. Use it for decorative stitches too. That's what's going to make it look nice, and it's not going to look wavy. The other time you may wish, or you may want to use a cutaway stabilizer, is if you, like on this is the back of a little shirt. And with this little shirt, what I did is, you can see I did do embroidery, so machine embroidery on it. However, it's very lightweight. So I kind of used, what I did is I used the stabilizer. You can see I used an iron-on cutaway stabilizer to just give the whole back nice and more support, so my embroidery would look great. So again, those cutaway stabilizers, you're going to leave them in, you're going to trim around, but it's going to stay in the embroidery or in the decorative stitches, and it just really makes those stitches look great. Now, I have a couple different cutaways that I recommend to people. A lot of times, just like with the tearaways, you have different weights of cutaway stabilizers. In general, like, it's hard to see on camera, but like this is lighter weight, this is a little bit heavier weight. With cutaway stabilizers, you will need to pin them or somehow get them to stay on the garment. You can pin it, and then if you're hooping it for embroidery, it'll stay in there if you hoop the stabilizer as well. However, for knits, going back to this little t-shirt here, in general, I'm not going to hoop a knit. The reason is if you hoop a knit, it stretches, and then when you take it out of the hoop, it comes back. And if you've ever done any decorative stitching or embroidery that you've taken it out of a hoop, or you've taken it out of the machine and it's all of a sudden it kind of scrunches up, that you don't want that to happen. So again, sticky stabilizers for things like that. So the sticky cutaway, and we're going to talk in a minute about a sticky wash away too. But again, cutaway stabilizers, didn't want to get you confused. Sorry if I did, but cutaway stabilizers, you're going to pin them on, you're going to make sure that it remains in the garment. But my favorite cutaway stabilizers are the iron-on versions. You can tell I use that on everything that I did there. The iron-on versions, they're going to be real shiny on one side, and then not on the other. And that shiny is like a glue, kind of like a little glue that when it is heat activated, so when you iron it on, it's going to remain. And then when you get done, you can pull up the edges and trim close. So there are whisper web meshes, there are other different types of iron-on stabilizers, but you're always going to know that it's iron-on because like this is rough on one side and not on the other. So with cutaway stabilizers, again, knits going to be important. Anytime you need extra stability and extra lift on different fabrics, use an iron-on cutaway stabilizer. And again, it is imperative that you do use that with knit fabrics. The stretchy fabrics, cutaways are super important, and they're very important to keep in your sewing room if you're doing any decorative sewing or any embroidery. So make sure you have a couple cutaway stabilizers that you can have and be ready for anything that you're going to be doing with your sewing and embroidery.